The history of Patiala city is merely 2.5 centuries old. But it is amazing how famous the place has become in this short span of time. Who hasn't heard of the Patiala peg, the extra large measure of whiskey that is indicative of the larger than life appetite of those who dwell here? Whatever they do has a regal touch to it, and that is why the suffix Shahi, royal or regal is added to it, be it Patiala Shahi Lassi or Patiala Shahi Ran. The place is known for its pagdi, headgear, its juti, beautifully handcrafted shoes, and also the braids ornamented called parandi. As we discuss all this, we also are reminded of the wonderful collection of miniature paintings here and the style of singing called Patiala Gharana. We tend to forget that one of the major attractions of the city is the Qila Mubarak, the fort here. As a matter of fact, it was the foundation of the fort that triggered the establishment of the city and accelerated its development. And even today, the heartbeat of the city of Patiala can be palpably felt as we stand in the precincts of the Qila at Patiala.
Patiala in the Punjab is some 270 kilometers away from Delhi. The fort is built bang in the middle of the city and is put in the category of Nardurg, a citadel that relies primarily on the valor of soldiers deployed for its protection. As a matter of fact, this is a cluster of fortified buildings with beautiful architecture, and the paintings in the palaces create a magical atmosphere.
अठारहवीं सदी के उत्तरार्ध में पंजाब के सारे क्षेत्र में मुगल राज्य एक तरह से खत्म हो गया, तो यहाँ पर जो पॉलिटिकल वैक्यूम क्रिएट हुआ उसको भरने के लिए यहाँ पर सिख रियासतें अस्तित्व में आ गई। सतलुज के पार सबसे बड़ा राज्य महाराजा रणजीत सिंह का बन गया, और सतलुज के इस ओर, जिसको हम मालवा क्षेत्र कहते हैं, सतलुज और घग्गर दरिया के बीच का, यहाँ पर छोटे छोटे सिख रियासतें बनी। उन रियासतों में से सबसे क्षेत्र में बड़ी और सबसे समृद्ध रियासत पटियाला की थी।
The ruling family of Patiala claims descent from the Rajputs of Rajasthan, who were blessed by Guru Gobind Singh. All those who ruled here were patrons of the arts and music. The state enjoyed peace and prosperity under their reign, and Patiala became the heart not only of Malwa, but the whole of Punjab.
There are two parts of it. There is the Quila Mubarak and the Androon Qila. Quila Mubarak would be a public space where people would come and go and so on and so forth. Androon would also mean the inner apartments, which is a more decorative part of it and so on. More livable part. The outside is the public space, the inside is the private space and so on.
Baba Ala Singh was a legendary warrior of his time. His reputation on the battlefield was enough to secure Patiala. The ramparts and towers, built later, were commissioned more to proclaim and display the majestic sovereignty of the rulers, rather than to serve any strategic need. The cannons displayed on the precincts are booty of war brought back from distant battlefields, where soldiers from Patiala were dispatched to assist the British troops.
It was Baba Ala Singh who started the construction of this fort and completed it. As a matter of fact, it is he who should be given the credit for establishing the city of Patiala. Baba Ala Singh was a renowned warrior and an accomplished swordsman, and we hear of his bravery from the accounts of historians who came to India with Ahmad Shah Abdali. He invited people from different places, artisans and traders, to come and settle here. And for their protection, he commissioned the construction of a thick wall a little distance away from the fort. And this is what served as a rampart to protect this building. Ever since, it has been very difficult to decide where the fort ends and the city of Patiala begins. As a matter of fact, in times gone by, the old city of Patiala gave an appearance of a fortified settlement.
The main gate of the fort is hidden behind the curtain of shops that have mushroomed around it. The delicate carvings on stone that adorn it are invisible, nor can you catch a glimpse of the miniature towers and balconies. Once you cross it, you enter a spacious courtyard, and you can see another imposing gate that provides entry to Qila Androon. Entrance to Qila Androon is decorated in the Rajasthani style.
Public spaces where everything under the sun is talked about. But inside, the inner space where the women were and so on, it is a much softer and much different, very different atmosphere where the things that touch your daily lives.
A wonderful sense of openness is experienced here. There is no other palace or fort where so much attention has been lavished on the exterior. Its walls are covered with colourful paintings reminiscent of the Havelis in Shekhawati. A special attraction here is a door made of ivory, but so skillfully has it been fashioned that it merges with the wood and stone that surround it.
Qila Mubarak is a square fortification, and then you have the internal palace, which is again a square form, with entered through a single gateway with these bastions on all four corners, which is the inner palace of the Qila Androon. A square-shaped building is with the internal courtyards is a very typical architectural form in the northwest.
Blending the Rajput and Mughal influences, the palaces in this fort resemble Rajasthani Havelis. The apartments are built around a rectangular courtyard. Small fountains are added to enhance the beauty of the building. Structures that came up in the 19th century show European architectural influences. It seems that by adopting their style, the princes of Patiala were telling their subjects that they were equally powerful.
You have multiple courtyards, and each courtyard is named as a different palace. So you have Haveli architecture, which people were used to, the whole comfort of rooms on the periphery and a central open space where a lot of activities would happen. I mean, it gives you an inner space at the ground level, it gives you terraces on the upper level, gives you semi-shaded over, verandas and terraces overlooking the central space. So if you were to look at one little cell within the Androon, it looks like a Haveli. When you put it all together, it becomes the palace, the larger Qila Androon.
The Sheesh Mahal is a small, beautiful building inside Qila Androon, built in the Mughal style. Walls plastered with small and large mirrors fascinated the rulers. Hundreds of reflections dazzle the visitor.
The style of Patiala, greatly influenced by Rajasthan. And a number of the crafts of Patiala and the arts of Patiala bear the imprint of Rajasthan. It was the painters of Alwar and some from Jaipur who really came to work here in Patiala.
The Rang Mahal was designated as a venue for entertainment. Art historians have opined that we come across the most developed form of the miniature style here. Narratives from Hindu epics are depicted in exceptional detail.
You see the program of adornment, whether it is portraits of the rulers or whether it is scenes from mythology, whether it is something like a didactic text which is for the training of princes and princesses, which is also very much there. In terms of illustration, in terms of panels, these are philosophical texts. There are texts which are purely didactic. There are those which are purely narrative or descriptive, those which are erotic, and so on and so forth. All form a part of the decorative scheme.
The Rang Mahal is a veritable treasure trove of paintings that can't be matched by most art galleries. Most of these pictures deal with the celestial romance of Radha and Krishna, or well-known incidents from the life of Shri Krishna.
Pahadi painters also came to Patiala because patronage had dried up in Lahore after the fall of Maharaja Ranjit Singh and the 10 years of virtual anarchy that followed. So we have a very interesting admixture of the Rajasthani and the Pahadi schools. So Pahadi painters were doing their own thing, the Alwar painters were doing their own thing inside that and so on. So there's a very, very interesting coexistence. I don't think there's too much give and take between these groups, but a coexistence of these.
The Masnad Mahal is decorated in a manner to strike a sense of awe in the mind of the visitor. The walls are adorned with paintings of Hindu gods and goddesses, as well as the Sikh gurus.
There is no such thing as a Sikh subject and a Hindu subject or like this. Walls are completely filled with scenes from Hindu mythology. This liberality, I won't even call it liberality, it's naturalness. So these are things which fill you with a sense of elation. Here is an open and receptive and Catholic, if you like, right, point of view, way of seeing things and way of living, so to speak.
It appears that the endeavor of the rulers was to claim divinity by association and legitimize their authority subtly. Most of the images of Krishna are not as a child or adolescent, but as a mature man ruling Dwarka.
The first time that I went to Patiala, a number of government offices were functioning over there. So here was a beautiful structure filled with amazing paintings, architecturally very interesting, doubly significant because it's in Punjab. Unlike Rajasthan, where there are so many forts which have good architectural qualities, in Punjab we don't have that much. We've lost a lot before the awareness was there. So here was this quite extraordinary structure, and it was parceled out to 8 or 10 different government offices. And I remember going there and seeing on a wall where there are beautiful delicate paintings, a nail is driven right through the paintings and a calendar is hung on that nail.
Almost all the rulers of Patiala were connoisseurs and patronized artists and musicians. Wherever they went, they invited people with creative talent to come as their guests to Patiala. Treated lavishly, the guests seldom left. The Patiala School of Music is a world-famous genre of Hindustani classical music. Cherished memories remain of Bade Ghulam Ali Khan Sahab, its greatest exponent.
The Maharajas of Patiala were for the best, whether it was a horticulture, whether it was architecture, whether it was in administration, in arts, culture, tradition, values, they brought everything. Very few Maharajas had travelled so far as the Maharajas of Patiala. Basically, it was a just for the best to be brought to the state so that their people, the citizens, can have the feeling of the whole India or some parts of the world in their knowledge.
The Darbar Hall was built during the colonial period and reflects an amalgam of Rajput, Mughal and British architectural elements. No expense was spared, as the state was then at the zenith of its glory.
You need stability in the political realm and enough of resources available with the kings to be able to make large pieces of architecture. So you can see that clearly Patiala Qila was possible because they had a long duration of a stable and a secure kingdom with plenty of resources available to be able to build like that.
The interiors of the Darbar Hall recall the formal living rooms of European palaces. Priceless Belgian chandeliers hang from its ceilings. This was the venue of royal celebrations offering hospitality to high-ranking guests. Today, the palace has the look and feel of a small, quaint museum. Ranvas once used to be the palace for the queens. This too has been built in the traditional Rajput style, ensuring that the privacy of the residence is fully protected. No one from without could steal a glimpse of the ladies. Residential rooms are arranged around a beautiful rectangular courtyard.
For the first 100 years in its career, this fort served as the residence of the royal family of Patiala. It served as a royal palace. And perhaps this is the reason why one doesn't encounter the usual harshness of a military fort here. One is attracted towards a certain softness.
There are spacious halls that were used by the queens and their companions for large-scale entertainment. The place was well maintained till it was used as a state guest house. This part of the fort has suffered a great deal since government offices were housed here.
In the Ranvas, which had a beautiful painting, it was used as a state forensic laboratory. And I still remember seeing parcels over there which had come in for forensic examination, and outside the parcel the contents were written, parts of large and small intestine, spleen, liver of somebody who had probably been poisoned. And I remember feeling just terrible, thinking about the kind of use that place was being put to and the number of years in which it had been abused rather than used and allowed to degenerate very fast.
It is a matter of great sadness that this beautiful fort has been reduced to this ruinous state due to neglect. The state government is oblivious of this priceless heritage. What can be a greater irony than this, that Patiala, once the pride of the Punjab, is forgotten by the government of Punjab.
It seems to be that the Qila Mubarak is going to be one of the tragic stories of the history of architecture and the loss of architecture in India, rather than one of the happy stories that we see in other places in the country.
It is extremely painful to see the destruction of this invaluable legacy, bit by bit. It serves no purpose to blame others and keep lamenting the loss. There is still time to save the priceless Qila Mubarak, but we have to act now.
ते तू मुल्क